All right, let's go. All right, thanks everyone for joining us for another Friday edition of the Storage Meetup. This is number 50. That's crazy. That's number 50. That's like I planned it. I'm turning 50 years old here in a couple days. It's number 50, so I'll see it's meant to be. I don't know. Remember Jim when I messaged you like, hey, you want to do like a little I don't know, Q&A show? Why not? And it's kind of a idea to be able to come on and just have me and you answer some questions. But I think about 20th episode, I realized this is kind of morphing into something else. So this is more of a community type of a thing. So rebranded, still here, keeping it going. Got new things coming up all the time on each week, some summits, things like that. But anyway, I just really appreciate everyone taking the time out of their Fridays to join us here. This is fun. For today's session, bringing back Cori and Eva. Again, marketing is vitally important, and don't care how many times you may have heard something. Maybe it just takes one time of hearing something a different way, being like, "Got it," and it clicks. And so that's why this is kind of a continuous theme of having these marketing sessions. And even Cori masters what they do. They're always continuously learning. They're implementing, not just talking about what you should do. They're actually doing it for their clients. So that's why I like to have you guys on here. This works out great. So mindful of time here, we'll do this right till the top of the hour. And so I'll keep an eye on the time here, but we'll hand it over to Cori and Eva. I'll spotlight you guys, and I'll let Cori, if you want to give us a little short introduction first, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So I'm Cori Garrod. I've been in the storage industry for 22 years, actually. Just last month, I think, is when the anniversary hit. But as we always talk, it's an industry that you'll never get out of. I think once you're in, you don't get out. It's a big collaborative group, and I love coming here, and just all the different networking groups and the industry organizational things. It's just great to be able to talk to everyone. Just a little bit about my background. I actually started in the industry running a call center for a large operator in California. Kept asking the owner to have a website that was better than the one we had. Be careful what you wish for because you get put in charge of it. And that launched my digital marketing career. So I was learning about SEO before SEO was even a thing. That was in 2005. And so that really kind of just launched my career and digital marketing and kind of marrying all the tech, right? Since I had the call center background, customer experience is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So just making sure that all the customer touch points from start to finish, cradle to grave, is dialed in is really what I specialize in. So keeps me on my toes. We're always evolving and changing, which is great, keeps me interested. And that's why I enjoy coming to sessions like this, share the knowledge or learn what's out there and try to help somebody with their problems. So that's a little
Great.
bit about me.
And you're always generous with your time and just being able to, not just for doing these, but on other meetups and people reaching out to you and all that. So I appreciate all the value you bring. So thank you.
Thank you.
Eva.
Like even I always say, if we don't know, we'll get you to somebody who can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eva.
Hey everybody, my name is Eva Chavez. I have been doing marketing now for about 15 years, but for the storage industry, I've been doing it for about 10 years. Fortunately, I got to work with Cori for I think 2 or 3 of those years at the end of my private sector in the back, behind the paywall. So that was really fun, and I really loved co-collaborating with her there, and that's why we decided to continue to do so after we started our own businesses. So that's a little bit of my background. I started off at a property management company for 4 years and then went over to a web stack development company for another 4 years. Really saw that there was a gap between the technology and SEO. So there's like the technology that's happening and the SEO that's happening at the same time, and everybody has one or the other, but not both that are combined or connected. So they have this really pretty technology on the side, but they don't have the reporting that has anything to do with the technology. So that's kind of where I saw the gap. I decided to come in. I do PPC, SEO, and then technical implementation of your backend development. So that's a little bit about me. I don't want to go too deep into it, but yeah, I'm really getting into the SEO portion of it again and kind of going back to basics and how we can get that to help us with the LLMs right now.
And that's, again, that's why I brought this session up and reached out to you guys too, because yes, we're all talking about AI and how to get featured on, make sure you're showing up in your local area. And we have to kind of almost wrap it around the AI thing just to get attention sometimes, because people are like, oh, I want to get recommended by AI. But like we mentioned earlier, kind of in the pre-hangout here, really it's just sticking with what's always worked and the fundamentals with the SEO. It's just now people are kind of getting exposed that they weren't doing things either the right way or they weren't doing things consistently, that things that get rewarded by the large language models. So that's why we're doing these sessions. It's just going back to really make sure you're doing things, the correct way, the right way, consistently. And you guys are kind of shedding a light on that. So I appreciate it. Cori, want to go ahead and whatever you got, let's start.
Well, as we're talking about back to basics, one of the big basics for me is making sure you're securing your digital assets. And I know that's not AI related, but if you lose your website or your email gets wiped out, it's a really bad day. So I heard a horror story on one of the other meetups about how their IT person was holding hostage their website hosting and their domain. And that's something that just is so sad to hear, because you can protect yourself from that, right? Making sure that you are an administrator on your domain and your website hosting are huge. And I'm amazed at how many people turn that over. I actually helped one of my operators avoid that, because they were setting up they hadn't even gone over to Microsoft 365 yet. And the IT guy is like, no, you need to transfer your domain to Cloudflare, and we need to do this. And I'm like, whoa, time out. You're going to lose access and you're going to lose your stuff, right? So just it's making sure that you're protecting yourself is more important than ever, right? Making sure that you have admin access to those items, making sure that you have admin access to Google Analytics. Eva, how many times have we run into a client who has no access or thought they had access and they no longer have access, right? It's your Google business profile, all of those things, you need to ensure that you have admin access to anything Google. Anything and all things Google, please make sure that you've got admin rights. Make sure that you're monitoring that. Make sure that you're watching those notifications, that as changes are happening, you're looking at those notifications, because once you lose that, you're losing either all of that property or at least a lot of data, and it makes it a huge challenge. So I don't know, I keep running into that more and more. And I think it's just really important to stress those things.
Why do you think I mean, what's in it for them to hold it hostage? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, sometimes there's the spiteful employee, right? And so that has happened. I mean, when we were working previously with this was, gosh, while back, but previously someone had left the agency that we were dealing with, and all of our call tracking phone numbers were canceled because someone still had admin access to cancel all those numbers. It happened on the busiest moving weekend
Oh,
of the entire year. And so, it's very important that you've got an exit for people who have admin access, right? You need to have an exit plan, and you need to make sure that all of their access is removed, because the chaos that ensues with that, when you bring down a call center for 50 locations on one of the busiest moving weekends of the entire year, because someone just decided to maliciously cancel something, it's a bad day.
that's okay. That makes me sick. All right.
So protect yourself. Make sure you're doing everything that you need to have those things, document it really, really well. Make sure that you know where that documentation lives. Don't leave it in someone else's hands, or if you've got someone whose hands it's in, just make sure that you're very aware of how they're handling that data, making sure that if they leave your organization, everything is transferred to someone else who's got that responsibility.
And you owners out there, don't just write your stuff on a sticky note and say, I think my login's around here somewhere.
Yeah.
We've all dealt with that too.
No, all the other things, don't use the same password across all the platforms, because that's going to be a very bad day when somebody figures that out too. I mean, there's a lot of security basics that are involved with that. But I think just, as you're going through and protecting yourself as you're working with your agencies, just make sure that they aren't the ones that are setting things up for you versus you giving them access, because it's just at the end of the day, that's yours, right? That is your asset. That's yours to protect. And so just make sure that you've got your bases covered. It's really important.
Dang. All right. What you got, Eva? We're just gonna go. We're gonna bounce back and forth. There's no set thing we have to hit here, so we're just kind of going back and forth.
Okay, cool. I'm like, I think I may have overdone it with all of my information, so I'm gonna kind of like be picking and choosing. But essentially, I just want to talk about the shifting landscape of, SEO and GEO. I think we're all gonna agree that it's GEO, I hope. But just kind of figuring out what it is that we can do right now in order to essentially make what our current product is work for us as well. So how, like, when you're on that first page of or sorry, not the first page of, I'm so used to the first page of Google. When you're on ChatGPT or something like that, Jim, I'm sure you've done this. Have you gone and asked, best storage units near me or climate control storage near me?
Yep, I tested it this morning actually.
Um, so that's like the biggest thing right now is that people are kind of searching. So instead of moving the landscape is moving from people who are Googling to people who are doing things like TikTok to Chat GPT, depending on what their query is, depending on what they're asking. If they're asking for informational stuff, they're going to be going to a Chat GPT. If they're looking for food or things like that, they're going to be going to a TikTok. But I'm going to focus more on the Chat GPTs, Perplexities, the Claudes, those types of things. Essentially, what we want to do is we want to continue to create a closeness to that query within our content. So we're taking the information that we have within our analytics, in our ads, the actual demographic that they're searching for these keywords, these types of answers in these answer engines. We want to make sure that we're creating content for that. So the shifting landscape is that we're no longer going to the first page of Google. We're actually going to the these chat engines, these AI engines. And when engines pick content to cite, it doesn't just pick one or two links, it's pulling from deeper pages within your actual website. So that kind of leads into the old school bringing into the new school. Right now, there's a lot of content being created that is, I would say, probably 10% of it is good, and the 90% of it is just content to be content created. We really want to stop doing that. What we want to do is we want to go back to our old content, find the content that's actually generated traffic to you, find content that's actually brought in clicks, impressions, and take that content and rewrite it so that we're starting to put it in a structure or a format that the search engines can find more easily. I'm sorry, the chat or the AI engines can find more easily and then cite you within the AI overviews. That's the biggest thing that we want to do right now. And I know that everyone's thinking, why do I want to be found under the AI overviews? It's not that big of a deal. Well, the big deal is that when you're put into that AI overview, your trust authority becomes the number one trust authority. You become that person that they think of as the educational source within their area. And so therefore you've now become the trusted search or the trusted storage facility to them. Because over here, their friend Claude or their friend ChatGPT said, hey, this XYZ storage down the street is my friend, and I know this ABC about them, and here's what I know, and here's what they've told me about them. And so it's basically like a recommendation from or a referral from the AI. And what better way to get trust than for the AI to say, these guys are good over here. So that's kind of where our shifting landscape and our mindset should go. Is even though the AI overview may not bring in a click, it may not bring in a client, what it's going to do is it's going to bring in your trust, your brand, and your authority.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
This is for both of you, by the way. So, I mean, you keep mentioning content. You gotta have content. What? Give us an example. Like, what kind of content are we talking about? Just blogs? Are we talking videos? I mean, it's such a broad category. So, like, what kind of content?
Even I will both say all of the above.
Okay.
Right. And so your content can cross across different platforms. And so creating your content actually is a great way to be able to get into social. If you've got a great blog post, then you can chunk that up into more usable pieces and use that on your social media and turn it into video, do all of those things. That content that you're creating, even if it's just written words for your website, can actually be utilized in very many different ways. And that's one of those things, the other thing that Eva and I both talk about a lot is FAQs, right? Making sure that those FAQs are written very, very well. They're actually addressing, not generic. You don't want something that's super generic that everybody else answers. You're trying to establish yourself as an authority. But the other thing is you're trying to answer a question. And I think that's the best way, as we've been talking about this too, is that you are trying to solve someone's problem. They have a question, you need to be the solution. And that's how AI is going to find you. And if you write your content with that mindset, it's going to be hugely valuable. One of the biggest tips that I can give you is if you've got recorded phone calls and transcripts, use AI to analyze that. Look at what your customers' pain points are, see what they're asking, and either one, fix it, or two, make sure that you've addressed the question and FAQ, or you can write a blog post about it. It's hugely invaluable information. Just look at that information, look at the forms that are being submitted on your website. You've got a gold mine. You can repurpose all of that and really address the ultimate problem that somebody's got.
Have you heard about like the more FAQ that you have that's getting picked up on the search engines? Or is that
So
that
with
just
that, the reason why FAQs are being picked up more predominantly is because of the structure that's being implemented on the FAQ.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm talking about with the AI structure, going back to your old content, making sure that it's formatted properly, not just paragraph, paragraph, picture, paragraph, paragraph. I'm talking about going through creating H1s, H2s, having bullet points, highlighting, italicizing, bolding, and then going back into that content and rewriting it and saying, even drop it into your chat GPT and say, hey, can you do a schema markup for this page? So that way you can re-upload it with a full schema markup that will make it 10 times better for the way that Google, the chat bots, AI, everything can look at it and then pull that information. So the way that it's doing it right now is it's skimming information off of every single page. So the better or the more properly you hand that information over to them, the more accurate it's going to be. AI is intelligent, but we are not. So if we're handing it a bunch of crap, it's going to be crap that it delivers back out to its clients. That's just the end all result. So make sure that what you're providing to the AI, all of the deeper pages, the content that you have is content that you want actually being cited and brought to the forefront, because it is looking now deeper into those pages. It's not going to 1, 2, 3, it's going to 15, 16, 30, 40, as long as it has a good relevant or authority score. Another thing is doing pros and cons. List is a big thing that I've been looking into right now. Charts, pros and cons charts, and then just also kind of talking about what the difference is between climate control, 24-hour access, drive up, things that people ask questions about, but don't necessarily bring it to the forefront of your manager. They do the research before they get to you. So you want to have those answers available on your website.
Yeah, and it looked like Ashley actually had a question in the chat about FAQs where. So FAQs on your website is what we were specifically referencing. Q&As on your Google business profiles are always good to utilize as well. But one of the things that Google is looking at a lot and is serving up information is also freshness. And so as you start adding more FAQs, you don't necessarily have to do them all at once. You can parcel them out so that it's considered fresh content. And that way it'll kind of pick that information up sooner, right? Google and most of the AI, especially Gemini right now, it seems to really be leaning on freshness and thinking that answer is going to be more pertinent because it's more recent. So just kind of keep those things in mind as you're working through that content. And if you've got enough of an FAQ that you think you could really write a great blog post about it, write a great blog post about it. Like if you specialize on trailer storage, give somebody like a great way about if they're the first time they're doing something, how do you do it? And that's so invaluable because that helps establish your authority. When it's done really well, it's done really well. When it's not, it's just a lot of garbage, like Eva was saying. Just make sure that what you're producing is not written, it's written for a human, because that's where we're really leaning towards. It's just making sure it's really answering that question.
Cori, question for you or Eva, either one. Again, I was just at Go Local this week. We were talking about the summit and about AI search and all these things, and something was brought up in the room about there's a lot of content's been written over the years, and sometimes they contradict each other in their statements. How is AI handling that, or what is your advice on people that have multiple parts out there?
Well, I'll say always double check your sources. Make sure that you're double checking anything that comes from AI because it is not accurate. Um, as much as I would love to say the AI overviews are the 100% end all be all for right now, they are so inaccurate because of exactly what you're talking about, Jim. Contradicting content that's been put out because of the fact that when SEO, when us marketers, Cori, they shunned us for this last SEO meetup. They were like, we get anything new and we destroy it. But what ended up happening is we got this, content creation. We were like, oh, we've got Chat GPT. We're going to create all this content, and it's a lot of really bad content. So now the big thing is to try to clean it up and try to make sure that at least your section or your piece of that content is correct and informational and proper so that you're not sending out anything that's bad. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about the information that's already out there. So really important to clean up your own content.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I've been recommending to a lot of my clients right now is just making sure to go back. I mean, if you've got years and years and years of blog content, if it's one not performing, get rid of it because it's just bloat anyway, right? But two, just make sure that it still answers the questions for the time. Things changed. It evolved, your business evolved. So just make sure that you're producing and you're providing good content so that it's actually addressing a need. There's no good reason to have tons and tons and tons of pages that are not performing. Look at your analytics, see what's actually getting views, what's driving traffic, what's going on, and review it. You can definitely purge it if you don't need it.
Yeah.
Help me, again, not just for me, but for everyone else that's here. Can you help kind of maybe walk me through like a workflow of what this looks like? 'Cause I'm just, again, we hear content. Start with, again, like maybe start with the blog post, and that leads into this, and that leads into this.
Well, first, it actually starts with your strategy. You should actually go through and have a content strategy before you even start writing your blogs, right? Do your homework and really get a strategy in place. I think that's one of the biggest missteps, as everybody says content is king, but if you don't have a strategy around it, then you're just writing to write and you don't really have a strategy. So
And strategies like you're writing for your local. I mean, again, we're a 3 mile market. We're a local area.
right. You're doing your homework. You're understanding what your customers is. You've got to understand what your facility actually offers. You have to understand what your competitive advantage is. All of those different pieces. Just writing fluff pieces to write fluff pieces isn't going to do you any good, right? So if you really hone that in and create a content strategy around that, and blogging it, then blogging is one of your key components of that. Yes, definitely. Blogging for me is a great step because that's your long form content. And as you write through that piece, that can give you the ideas that you need to do your shorter form content. So, if you wanted to do a Facebook post, you can do a shorter thing, your Google updates, right? Any of the Google posts, that shorter piece that you can do as a hook and a lead in to get people onto your blog or onto your website, those sorts of things, but definitely have a strategy around it. Understand your market.
Right. I think a lot of times people get into the content development, and you're right, Cori, the first thing is that strategy, and then also having a keyword strategy that goes along with it, one that's comprehensive to the demographic and the people around you. Because not everybody speaks the same in every single state. So, and they don't ask the same question the same way. So having your content catered to the way that the people are asking their questions is extremely important because the closer you are to the query, and I will say this 1,000 times, I think in this meeting, the closer you are to that client finding you. So if you can match the query almost identically to the person that's in your demographic, you were going to be closer to the top of the page than anybody else. So if you know how people speak, how people are asking those questions in your area, make sure you're putting it like that in your content as well.
Is there any, again, I'm always about trying to lead, model in success and who's already doing things the right way to kind of get inspiration and see, model what they're doing, frankly. Can you name anybody? I assume the big boys are doing it, right? I mean, that's, they got
Yeah. I mean, they've got endless pockets and huge numbers of teams. But another one that I really like to watch, because I think they do a good cross-purpose strategy behind everything is Sunbird Storage or Bluebird Storage. I think they do a really good job of making sure that they've got that, and they've got some really long form posts. They've got their SEO really nailed in for what keywords they're targeting and how that strategy goes. And they've got that long form content, but then they're also doing that short form Facebook posts, Instagram, and all of those other things. So I think they actually do a great job of making sure that they've got that content down.
Right.
No, great shout out. Because again, I want people to see who's doing
Well,
it the right way and see what's
and
going on and model it.
And, they're so passionate about the charities that they support. It's a great way to get ideas of how you do your community sponsorship, and those charities that you support, they do a great job of advertising that. So just making sure that it's a good one watched, because they actually do a good job of making sure to get that off in multiple ways.
Perfect. And I'm going to put together, again, just as we're talking here, I think it'll be helpful after each session. I'm gonna, if when it applies, I'm gonna make like a checklist, because I live for checklists. I think it would be helpful, and I'll confer with you guys as well to help me put this together. I'll put it on the storagemeetup.com website. I redesigned it if you guys want to take a look at it. I redesigned it this week. There's actually a drop down for checklists. It says coming soon, but I want to make these checklists that apply to these specific episodes. So I'm gonna make one that's about content strategy, what we were just talking about, kind of step 1, step 2, step 3, some example places to follow. So anyway, thanks for the idea. That would be fun. I don't want to hijack too much about the content. What else you got to talk about?
Yeah, well, and I know we've got another question in the chat about the FAQs and is more better. Well, as long as it's relevant, as Eva was saying, but I think also it has to be extremely well organized. And that's something also too, as you're doing your blog, make sure that it's organized really well. Not even the blog itself is important. It's the actual structure of your blog pages as well, right? So if you're writing about business related storage, and you want to make sure those pieces are grouped together, it just helps the large language models really understand the organization of the website and the content that you're producing. So organization is key, right? Being clean, not just throwing everything everywhere. It's going to help.
Content clarity, structure, heading, and segmentation. Number one thing that I'm telling everybody right now, just make sure that you have content clarity, structure, headings, and segmentation. Make sure that you're putting themes within your blogs. If you're doing blogs, if it's a how-to blog, it's under a themed how-to section as well. Is it business related? All of that crawling, indexing is taking place. And all of those things, all of those parameters that you put into place with that crawl, that index, is another step that AI is going to learn from you, instead of you letting the AI determine how you are seen on that first page or how it's going to be structured. Structure it for them. So that way you have a lot more control. People think that the AI is just doing this stuff frivolously. If you go to some of these pages, if you're looking at the actual links, because and I'll get into that too. Right now, that AI overview is about a 0-click environment. And so you're not getting any clicks from there. But the fact that if you do click on those links and you go into that content, try finding that content within that page and seeing the difference between some of them. So I've gone into like the bottom links when it was newer, when I was testing it out. That bottom link would always have, it would be a lot more expanded content, and throughout I'd have to find pieces of it throughout a paragraph. It wasn't necessarily structured where I could find it. Where the top producers, the ones that were at the very top, I'd click on it and it was almost verbatim, the content that was coming out of their page, instead of it just being pieced together. So, and then also with that, I noticed that the content with that last link versus the first link was a little bit more skewed. I wasn't getting the correct answer that they had in their content. It was being skewed more towards how my question was worded. It was trying to give me an answer that I wanted. And I want to remind everybody, AI does feed you what you want. As much as you think that it's feeding you what you need, it's more feeding you what you want. So what you're giving it, if you're giving it any information, if it learns about your personality, little things like that, it will feed that into your results as well. So just be mindful of that. Don't think that, oh, AI told me this and it's absolutely true. No, it is feeding into your personality a little bit. There's AI, I think there's AI psychosis going on right now.
No, it's really interesting. You know, the more in conversations that I have with Chat GPT about certain things, like if I get away from marketing, it pulls in a ton of marketing information. I'm like, no, wait, I need to remember to go do a temporary chat sometimes. But it's just one of those things because it's learning about you as you're having the conversations. And so it'll start pulling in more information and like past projects and what you're working on. And I'm like, oh wait, so just remember that as it's a skewed view. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working through those things.
I got a question for you. Is this a total black hat kind of a strategy? But is there anything wrong with it saying we're the best in such and such area and kind of have that theme with blogs?
I mean,
Because
it's
everyone says what's the best storage near me or something like that. So
I think best is not the most common keyword. You'd actually be very surprised how little that keyword comes up. Cheap might be one.
yeah.
Affordable,
Oh,
discount. I hate the word cheap though. I don't use the word cheap in any of my content. I don't recommend anybody ever use it. It is one that comes up. I would substitute that with like affordable or something like that. But just storage near me is really like the biggest thing that's going to bring in like keyword relevance. But yeah, the best is it's more that's what's going to end up happening is if you're not 5-star ranking and there's another storage facility next to you, it's just going to make the person look at you like, oh well, they just say that word to say it. It's not really a trust thing with them. So do you want to bring that kind of attention to yourself or not? It's
And
more, are you the best or not?
well, and the interesting thing, Jim, is when you're using the large language models to use the word best, it actually is looking at the reviews. So that's one of those things that it does pull in, and it gives you all the listings based on the reviews. So reviews are still super important. Diversifying your
You're
review
gonna say
strategy
something,
is
have it.
actually really important too, but
So if you're gonna say something, have the evidence to back it up. Got it.
yeah.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
I don't want to change the flow or anything, but I know Corey, if you don't mind, I'd love to kind of see that comment thing for a
The
minute.
comment. Yeah. So we were talking earlier, Eva, I don't know if you jumped in. I downloaded the comment browser just to see what was up when Perplexity made the announcement. So I can share my screen and we can kind of take a look at that a little bit because I've been playing with it today. Let me share my screen.
First off,
And then send
what's
me an
perplexity?
invite.
I'm not sure how many people even know what perplexity even is.
Well, another large language model would be Perplexity.
But it's
actually,
my least favorite because it's the most paid for model.
yes, it is definitely the most paid for model, but it's nice because it's clean and the new browser is Comet. And the cool thing is it actually brought in all of my settings and my passwords and my bookmarks from Chrome. I signed in with Chrome. Super cool. But when you sign up and go through, you'll see it's got the assistant built right in, which is kind of nice. So you can actually just it's on the panel. You can go in and it's get linked to everything. So you can have it scan your email, bring in the ad calendar, everything within the web browser itself. But the nice thing is that it's got the built-in assistant as well. So you can just bring up the assistant and instead of Googling it, you're using Perplexity to do the work for you. So it gives me some suggestions here, but I think one of the best things, of course, is that everybody needs to start looking for their storage units here. So for me, I kind of wrote for a loop sometimes, and I'll just say, let me find a storage unit in where are we going to be? We can do near me just because that'll be interesting, but and it'll actually show you the thought process behind it. Funny enough, it thinks I'm in St. Peter's because I was querying that earlier today.
See what we mean? It's not actually finding something near you. It's actually
No, because because I had asked
conversation.
that earlier because I'm like, hey, can you help me find a storage unit for my parents in St. Peter's, Missouri? And so now it's stored that in its memory, and now it brings it up because it thinks I'm in St. Peter's, even though I'm not there. I'm in Miami Beach. So you can see, and it went through the thought process. It showed you where it was going, and then it'll bring up your sources, and it'll give you some options. And it'll give you a whole bunch of other related queries as well. So you can actually kind of understand the thought process. And this is the way you can start thinking about your FAQs and some of the other things that you need to be doing to address those conversational queries, right? As you're writing content for people, all of those things. And so you could actually change it up a little bit if you wanted to do that too, and say, okay, because I don't know that I didn't ask it before. So we'll just ask which one is the best and see what it does. So there you go, based on customer reviews, and it's pulling it up, and it went really fast. It's a very fast engine, I've noticed. So one of the things that I'll say is review diversification is going to be huge. I know everybody's been focused on Google reviews for a long, long time. That's not the only place to be getting reviews. So make sure we're finding in the large language models that Facebook is the #1 and Yelp is #2. So
click on sources, because that's
Yeah.
kind of, that proves your point right here. If you click on that
Yeah.
source, scroll up. I think it's right there. Sources.
all the sources.
Let's see. We haven't done this yet, so we're doing the
Yeah.
wrong. So there's a blog.
Oh, look, hey, look, local Yahoo. How long have we not talked about Yahoo forever? And yet now it's pulling the information in. Facebook, right? The bird eye reviews. So it's all about diversification.
Okay, and that, I just wanted to have everyone see it see it
Yeah.
for themselves, because this stuff is everything we're talking about. I know, like basically AI search, very, very, very early. But again, we're just talking about the fundamentals here. And I guarantee you, perplexity, I mean, we kind of had to define what perplexity even was for most people. I guarantee you, ChatGPT is going to be coming out with their own browser. I mean, it's the way everything is going. So
Right.
right there's your sources. That's a perfect way.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you know, when Google did their big announcement at I/O, it was that they really intend to search to be agentized, right? You're not just looking for the answer, it's going to do the thing for you. So just keep that in mind, right? And that's what it is like, okay, which one is best? Okay, great. Now I want to rent. Great, help me rent a unit at, right? And that's where things are going. So
It's already here. My
here,
kid,
I mean, yeah.
my kid had to get a new Chromebook.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what Chromebooks are. That's
Right.
Google's laptop basically, and there is not Chrome on there now. The default is Gemini. That's the default programming on the Chromebooks is Gemini. So they're already they're already kind of killing a lot of things that they've had in the past with search, and they're going all in on AI. So you see the writing on the wall. It's
And you can watch it, try to rent a storage unit. I asked it to go rent a storage unit, and it's going to see if it's going to be able to do it for me. It'll walk through, you can watch it, go through all the different pages. So I definitely highly encourage everyone to do this for your own facilities. Go see what it actually does. If it'll get to the point where it would rent a unit for you or not. Can it click through? That's super important. There's a lot of older websites that I've seen where I can't.
and that's comes back to schema or what?
A lot of it is schema, and a lot of it is the way that the online rentals interface has been integrated to the website. So if you haven't had a
So if you have
clean
a-
integration,
If you have one of the larger providers that doesn't have an integrated payment portal, we won't name names. No names will be named, but one of the larger ones has a really hard time with this because it is a completely separate URL from your URL.
yes,
So I just
yes,
go back to all your
anytime-
providers and say,
Yeah.
if you don't have an internal payment portal, just start screaming at them. I'm telling everyone to start screaming at your website providers to make that a thing. There was a question in the chat too that said, did someone say that we should claim our business on Reddit? And yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cori and I both are screaming that from the rooftops right now. I think we said 40% of results are coming from Reddit right now from a lot of the AI results. That's some of the numbers that were being presented in the marketing industry. So it's important. And the way that you can do that, I've actually started doing it for some of my clients. Go in, claim your business. It's essentially the same thing. You create your business name as a subreddit. You create a post. You go through other people's posts. You add good content to other people's posts. Create karma points, and then also take some of your better, performing blog posts and link them into your Reddit. I'm sure are you gonna give us an example of something?
I was gonna say, just make sure that you do it because otherwise someone else will.
Will.
And I just want to say one thing, because I think this gets in people's heads sometimes. No one's going to interact with it. No one's going to see it. I'm here to tell you, no one cares. You're doing this. You're building this for the engines. Don't
Well,
go into it thinking I need to get this many clicks and this many interactions.
well, make sure that you claim it because someone else will.
Yes.
And if
And
you
then we'll
look,
do something like this.
because this is bad. Extra Space has someone who's actually set one up that looks like Extra Space, but if you read it, it's talking about how it violates consumer rights. And it's just really a slam piece. So make
Don't
sure
look
you
at me.
claim it
I didn't
before
do it.
someone else does.
It wasn't me either. It wasn't any of us.
You,
But
we
we thank
know.
whoever did it. It's like
Yeah.
service to the industry. Thank you for your services.
But yeah, so it's just super important to go through, do those things. And again, Eva, like we've been saying all along, go test it for yourself, see what it's doing, choose a tool, figure it, look at those sources, take a look at how it's interacting with your website. It's just very important.
Yes.
Perfect.
I definitely agree. I don't think that the storage industry, I think, kind of sits on this like cusp. We're not the most innovative in terms of technology. So sometimes something like this comes out and then we think, oh, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. And I fall victim to that myself. Like the whole Reddit craze. I thought it was at first not something that I was going to get into or do. I've found very quickly that I will be doing that. Whoops. And so, played a little catch up on that. Not catch up necessarily, because again, there's not really many people in our industry doing it at the moment, but that's what's so important about it. If you're the first adopter in your area of these things, you're going to have the best response from it at this point because it's empty. The spaces are empty right now. It's like, think of it as an empty RV space. You can go, actually pick whichever spot you want versus having to go to the back corner and flip around and reverse it into that spot. So this is your ideal time to kind of adopt that AI model. Don't go jump over the edge either and try to create new AI assistants for yourself. It's not 100% the end all be all for us, but we do have a certain amount of steps that we need to take towards that AI so that we are complacent and not being lost under the REITs like Extra Space, CubeSmart, and Public, who are all going to start doing this, or in some format are already doing this.
Or are you doing that?
Yeah.
And not to go too far down the Reddit rabbit hole here, but someone wanted to clarify, is this like a Google business profile listing or you make your own?
It's a subreddit.
Okay.
It's a subreddit. So you're just basically creating, how it's like the slash when you go in there and like everyone has like, you can go, it's like right now there's like a self-storage subreddit. It's the same thing. You're creating yourself like you're making yourself the moderator of a subreddit, and then you just become the owner of that subreddit. If you're familiar with Reddit, it makes sense. If you're not, I would just suggest going through the process. They're actually really good about explaining how to get through it when you start creating the profile.
Yeah, I found that Reddit is doing a great job of making sure that businesses understand how to use it appropriately. I kind of really think of it as you're creating your own community, right?
Yes.
If you think about it that way, it's just like if you had your own Facebook page, it's the same thing. It's just on Reddit. And so that's, it's just making sure you're setting up another.
How long does it take to make a profile?
Like 10 minutes.
Maybe.
Maybe, if
Yeah,
that.
just
if you're
make
slow.
sure you have everything at hand. Make sure you have your images ready. Make sure you have, a nice little description good to go. But you've done that already since you've done your website, so you should have that information at hand. It's a pretty quick and easy process.
Yeah.
All right. Next storage meetup. Got to come to the pre-hangout because I'm going to make one in real time just so people can
There you
follow.
go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That sounds amazing.
There you go.
Done. Perfect. Okay, we got like 15 minutes, guys. I know we've kind of gone a few different ways, but what else do you have that you want to make sure we hit here?
Could I ask you guys a question? So I know like Comet and Perplexity, sometimes you guys need to invite. Cori, did you get an invite like a while back, or because like for a while it was restricted? I'm not trying to change the subject, but
No.
make sure.
So actually I saw the announcement on LinkedIn because I follow one of the Perplexity people. And so he actually published that it was available. So I jumped all over that. So it didn't even have to be an invitation.
Yeah, I was just curious because Skylar's had Perplexity for a while. He has all the paid models because he rolls through different things and shows us, creates GPTs for us in our back end, especially for our marketing. You know,
Right.
we were paying third parties, and now we just create custom GPTs that match us for that one. So I was just curious how like you got access, because some people are still waiting for a link or different things. So
Yep. No, he posted today that it was live and I jumped all over that. So like, yay. But it was, yeah, it's really interesting to kind of watch that. And that engine is that as a browser, the load speed is great. Like I said, I was testing it on a whole bunch of different websites today, and it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, but it's been really fun to play with.
yeah, I was trying to do some stuff, back end stuff in our Go High Level, and Skylar was just like, "Hey, just open up comment and it'll do it for you." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Wait, what?
What?
This is also, yeah.
It'll log in and it'll start changing
Like,
everything.
huh?
So
I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Oh,
There was a question from Ashley. It says that thoughts on importance on TikTok. So social is important, but not for our industry, really. If we're going to be honest, people who are going to socials, I think they kind of go more towards looking for food near them, like things like that, like places to stay. If you have a good TikTok community, if you already have one, it is a good place to post information. But if you don't have one, I wouldn't say start, making that a huge task on your list of things to do. I'd say start more with like the Reddits, posting on your current Facebook, posting anything that you have on your blog content to your Facebook or your socials that you currently already have. That's an easier step. And then really, if Cori, if you don't mind, I just wanted to touch base on pitfalls and things that we're doing commonly that are mistakes before we end out, and then I'll quickly turn it
that's
over.
a good one. That's a good
So
one.
common mistakes, over optimization. I know everyone's been, I think that question's come up like 4 or 5 times in the chat. How much is over optimizing? And so over optimizing is unnatural keyword stuffing, awkward FAQs. AI does penalize for incoherence. I don't know if you guys know that. If you are sitting there putting in like a blah, blah, blah statement and it looks at it and it goes, I don't understand that, it's going to put you down at the bottom of the list and it's going to penalize you for that incoherence. Ignoring structural clarity because of the fact that the AI is going to have an easier time understanding your website with structural clarity is a big pitfall for us right now. All of our content, I would say 90% of you could go to your content and rewrite your blogs and everything, and your structural clarity would go up 100%. So that's somewhere to start. And by that, I don't mean go immediately to your website and rewrite all of your content in day one either. Go to your content, find the good performing content, rewrite that content, and then kind of go down the list. Treating AI as a set it and forget it kind of model, it's always going to be something that you're always going to have to touch base with, interact with, ask questions about, and ask questions about yourself too. So, hey, how am I doing on the first page? Is this XYZ brand doing on the first page of Google, on the first page of Yahoo? What could I do to improve myself? How do I look? How is my visibility coming up? Things like that you need to ask. I don't think many people are doing that, and that's a good way to just understand how AI is viewing you. And then the last thing is just neglecting your local SEO fundamentals. So don't forget that regardless of the fact that AI is here, we still need Google Business Profile, maps, and we need reviews. Thank you. That's the end of my spiel.
Citations are still important. We've been preaching it for forever, and I'm amazed at how many people just don't get through that. And it's important, just as it's not necessarily always the link back to your website now. It's the more times that your business is mentioned across multiple reputable websites, it'll help bolster your visibility. So those citations are just as important now as they've ever been. So see, we were talking about getting back to basics, and here we are.
Literally back to the basics. Where did we start? Citations. We're back at citations. Structural integrity, citations, and local business.
Yep.
Connor, so you got your hand raised.
Yeah, I've asked a question in the chat. I don't think we ever got to. So is the SEO, like the optimization for a search engine and AI kind of differ in any ways? Does the FAQ kind of help with AI more than just a general SEO? How do we navigate that? Any recommendations? Great.
There are similarities and differences. So one of the biggest things that I've noticed, and I'm just going to say it, is if you were doing SEO properly, you don't have that much of a change to the GEO.
Yeah.
It should have always been technically optimized, and that's the biggest difference between SEO and GEO is the technical optimization, the schema, markup, and all of that stuff on the back end. So clarity is another big thing, hierarchy is another big thing. But again, if it was being done correctly at the beginning, it should just be making sure that, you know, the H1 is where the H1 is supposed to be, the H2 is below where it's supposed to be, kind of things like that. But yes, that's like the biggest difference is formatting.
Yeah, it's a way for the large language models to really understand the content better. So, you know, I make sure that your SEO is solid, and then just make sure as you're producing your content that you've got it organized very well. And if you do that, then you've got your bases covered.
Pretty simple.
I know we say that.
I'm like, we went to all these conferences just to say, like, structure your content.
Yeah. And then at least 5 different sessions.
And they were all the same, but it's important because we have all this content out there right now that when you look at it, it's not structured and properly. And so you could just take what you currently have. There's no even creating new content. It's just taking what you currently have and making it a little bit better. And it's going to improve your overall AI and SEO presence.
What's your thoughts on videos?
On what?
Videos.
Oh,
Video?
videos.
Yeah, for the self-storage locations, like 30-second videos.
I love a good overhead aerial of the video, like of a facility, especially, or even the walkthroughs on Google Business Profile. I know a lot of people don't do that, but getting a 360 for your Google Business Profile is so helpful to your clients, and you get a lot more clicks, interaction, things like that with your photos. Because nowadays, Gen Z and Alpha and, you know, whatever comes after, they want to see what they're interacting with before they get there. They don't want to be surprised by a turn in a hallway that, you know, is a dead end. They're very they need to know how they're getting to a place and, you know, why they're getting to that place. It's a very like need to know basis. It's, I think, having technology in their hand all the time has made them that way. So having a walkthrough of your facility at Google 360 is a great tool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How do they get the Google 360?
There's a certified photographer that'll come out to you, or you can also do it yourself. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Use a professional.
Use a professional. It's a little expensive. Not like, it's not more expensive than the insanity that will come if you try to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you get a professional comes out, they take a 360, they start from the beginning of your site and they walk all the way through, and basically you tell them where you want it to start or finish or end. They have pictures of the inside of the office, they can do a 360, and then even walkthroughs of the actual storage facility.
What about doing, again, I'm going to go back to the think of the workflows and things like that. Going back to the FAQs, beneficial of making video of the FAQs?
It depends on if you're actually answering a question and
Yeah.
not just making content.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like maybe like demoing the keypad or inside of the facility, things like that.
Yeah.
I've
Like
seen
how do
things
I
like that.
access the facility, those sorts of things, those can be very helpful.
Okay. And it's content for your Google Business Profile. And I don't know about you, but I don't see hardly any videos.
No, there are very few
On
videos
there.
out there.
No, not a big content grab in our industry for videos.
Okay. Well, again, I kind of get it. People get in their head of like, where's storage? What the hell are we supposed to do a video of? Like, hey, here's a 10 by 10 of air. You know, I kind of get it, but there's plenty of ways to make content that's for your facility. Just gotta get over the hump sometimes and just do it. So like I just had people last week, just like I put him on the spot and like, you got 30 seconds, go. And, but you did it and it worked out great. You know, I just got to put some videos on there. So anyway, I was just curious about that.
Look at it with a fresh pair of eyes sometimes, or, you know, utilize some of the large language models and bounce some ideas around and see what it comes up with. You'd be surprised how creative you can get once you've got somebody to bounce some ideas around with.
No.
Actually, Jim, tell you the truth, part of what I wanted to do, you know, once everything is closed out and confirmed, I wanted to actually be able to have a full walkthrough of each unit, because it's going to be a brand new facility for me. So each unit with the actual unit number, and when they do rent it, I wanted to actually have an option there where they could look at the actual unit that they're about to rent. Right? Doesn't matter if it's the same all across the board, I think just mentally, I just kind of thought about it. I'm like, wow, if I'm doing it all completely remote from my phone, I would love to see the exact unit, kind of give me a visual of what my stuff is going to look like. And then it could look at the number and the exact same one. So it's not far-fetched.
No, you're customizing it for that individual person's experience running the unit and things like that. So there's a number of different ways you can go and do that. If you want to reach out to me later on, I have some ideas of not just so that way you're not having to do every single unit kind of a thing. But that no, that's a great idea. Even some of the tutorials of just showing people how to access the unit, make sure it's latched correctly. Just even stuff like that. Seriously.
Yeah, and
No, I even thought about it. I'm like, because you know what? I could, because you could definitely do it. Because like, I don't even have to do it myself. I'll just go to Home Jab and set up, have them come and do a full virtual of the whole entire facility, and they'll do each and every single unit. And I just take the footage from there and just put it for each unit. I mean, I don't think for me it would be anything that'd be too hard. I could get that done Home Jab easy.
No, exactly. We got a couple minutes here left. I want to make sure I want to give you guys the opportunity to at least kind of plug yourself. You've been talking for an hour. You got to at least plug your services and how people reach out to you.
And I guess we could post that in chat too, but so
Please.
so I'll post my information in chat, but definitely, Eva and I are very like-minded, and we love working with operators. I think, it's just one of those things we overlap in some things, and other things we specialize very highly in. But if you've got questions about your customer experience, and especially if you're thinking about how to integrate your call center more closely with some of your tech and a lot of your customer experience things, that's something that I've definitely been specializing, making sure that that is ironclad and nailed down, because I've seen a lot of disconnect lately. So just making sure that that's something you're doing. That's kind of what I'm doing, but I'll put my website, my contact information in chat for you. Eva?
Yep, just like Cori said, there's some things that I do and then Cori doesn't, or that that Cori does, where I don't do that Cori does. Vice versa, you guys get it. But yeah, so I basically SEO, very heavy SEO, PPC. I love to help develop that back end technical side of things, meta descriptions, meta titles, making sure you're being found properly on that first page and kind of giving you those results. It's a big thing for me. I really like to make sure that you understand how your data is being seen on that first page, how you're being found, and then taking your dollar and putting it back towards those different places. And then another thing is I love to run PPC. So PPC is it just has a really special place in my heart. I know a lot of people have had bad or negative experiences with that. I think when you have somebody who's specialized in the storage industry, you have a much better experience than when you have somebody who's outside of the storage industry. And that's just because it is hyper refined to who we are in terms of how we're being found, how we're being searched for, and the search term specifically that we're being found under. So that's been a big thing for me. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us. I went ahead and threw my calendar also in there, and then my name and email address and phone number.
Perfect. Keep that there.
Hey,
Thank you so much for
Jim, real quick.
Yeah.
For those of you who are getting an AI and you don't have any of the pro subscriptions, Perplexity is offering right now a pro subscription for a year for free if you'll sign up with a PayPal account.
Yep.
Perfect.
So if you guys are starting to get into it and you want a pro account, try it that way, and you can try it out for a year and cancel it.
Perfect. All right. Gotta wrap this up here. I'm gonna be mindful of everyone's time. A couple things. If you're still on here, kind of do our Zoom selfie real quick. So humor me, turn your cameras on. I need to do a 1, 2, 3 and get a selfie picture.
Okay. Where's my?
We all set? Cameras on, smile up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, one more. Got enough people on here. Gotta take 2. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sweet. Thank you. And keep the conversation going if people are interested. I put it in chat as well. Right after this, I jump over to this meeting, the AI office salons, and we just it's us, and we kind of the same thing. We go down Google and we all have our screens on and we talk about AI and geek out for an hour. So anyone's interested, cool. meet me over there. I put it in chat, so you can click on that and join me over there if you want to keep the conversation going. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your Fridays. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. I know I did. I'll create some checklists. I'll put it in the storagemeetup.com website. I'm going to keep building the resources on there. It's coming together. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. But thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Everybody,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
Take care.